Hey everybody, it's Erin Reed, and today we're going to make these felt pumpkins. Now, I already made these two felt pumpkins over on the Coonan Felt channel, and it's using a little bit of a different felt than what we're using today on this other pumpkin, but the process is very similar. But if you'd like to check out these videos, head on over to the Coonan Felt. There's some awesome videos there about how to create a ton of cool projects. So today what I am doing is I'm making a teal pumpkin. Now, you can make pumpkins, for just about anything. I mean, they're kind of fun, but there is a specific reason behind doing the teal pumpkin. I am using right now the white coordinating dots on the lagoon. I think that's really pretty. And the purpose behind the teal pumpkin is there's a thing called the Teal Pumpkin Project. And the purpose of that is for Halloween, around the time that you would be doing trick-or-treating, if you see somebody that has a teal pumpkin out in their front yard or during, in their space, then that means that they have a food allergy safe thing, meaning no candy. It's a treat or something. So I became aware of it because one of my neighbor kids, one of the little girls that actually plays with my daughter, is highly allergic to a ton of stuff, to the point where even touch contact can do harm to her. So the mother usually has to do what's called a fairy swap for all, and even the sister can't keep her stuff. I mean, there's certain candies, but she has no idea what's touched what. So they collect it all. She lets her daughter go trick-or-treating, but they have to be very careful about what they touch. And so it's become a thing that if you see somebody with a teal pumpkin, that means that they are offering things that are not food related. So you never know what people could be allergic to. I mean, the most common one would be nuts, in that family when it comes to candies, but there's also corn and corn syrup, there's all kinds of stuff. So you just never know. And so if you have a teal pumpkin out in front of your yard or when you're passing out your candies at your house, then that means that you can offer something. And so for kids that don't have the opportunity to go trick-or-treating like all the other kids do to allergies, or they have to do a swap with a toy or something, that's what the mom does for her daughter, then having a little, like a pencil, an eraser, it could be, a sticker, it could be anything. It could be something a little small, a little ring with a spider on it, whatever it could be, a glow stick. All kinds of fun stuff. Heck, you could give pennies. I mean, there's people that will have a jar full of coins and they'll hand out a few pennies when it comes to Halloween. So that's what this is in reference to. I have made teal pumpkins before, and this is a previous version. I didn't do a video. It was actually before I started doing videos of some other teal pumpkins that I made. You could do signs. You could actually make pumpkins. You could do a little container. I mean, there's all kinds of options. So here's some pictures of my previous teal pumpkin projects. And they're pretty fun. A couple of those I actually gave to the parents, to the family. They live actually right behind us. And one of them was a little bucket that she could walk around with. So it also became aware for, as she was going around and collecting her candy, that she has a food allergy. Because some people may not know about this, but may have alternate things that are passing out. Okay, so what am I doing now that I've given you guys kind of the spiel about the Teal Pumpkin Project? And it's become a little bit more aware of things. You can even go into some of the stores and they'll start recognizing it, which I think is so cool. All right, I'm going for a rustic feel with this. So this would work not just for this project, but obviously for these ones as well. I'm starting with a piece of wood. Very simple, right? And so any kind of little cut piece of wood. If you don't have wood, you could use whatever you like for the center. I mean, you could use a dowel rod or something, but I think just the natural wood looks kind of cool, especially for these rustic looking ones. But again, I wanted to make, because I can't find my sign. I've been hunting for it recently. So I'm going to make myself a new pumpkin. And so what I've done is I've created a template out of a piece of paper, and for every single one of these pumpkins I made a different template. So for the shorter pumpkin, that's where this one came from, because obviously if I try to put this on here, it would come way too high on my stem. So you kind of guide where you want to have how tall you want to have your flares of your pumpkin to be on here. And I want about an inch, inch and a half at the top. And then I am folding it over, because this one has dots on it. I am doing the reverse side, the wrong side, and I traced them and just regular old pen, and now I'm cutting them out. If you notice, I did fold it so that way I don't have to cut twice. and I don't have to trace the entire thing. Now when I cut these, I cut them, they don't have to even be perfect. They're just looking like little ovals, and you know, kind of imperfect, almost looks a little better in some strange way. All right, I am using today my super tight glue. This is not a fabric glue because I'm gluing this to a piece of wood, and I'm using my all-purpose universal glue. This stuff is great for just about everything. So what I am doing is I am taking my glue, which this one's getting low. It's okay, I have more. So take your glue, add it to the stem here. So if you notice, I folded it in half, and then decide which side of your stem is going to be the base. All right, and then you're going to take your piece and you just stick it on right there, just like that. We're just doing the middle. Just glue the middle of your little egg or whatever you want to call it right to the stem, just like that. Now I'm doing this a little bit differently than I did this version because this one, there is multiple colors. You have to assemble it differently. So if you want to see how to do more than one color on your pumpkin to make it look nice and even, make sure you check out that video. Again, the link is up above. But if you're doing all the same color, then you can do it this way. Then you're going to take another piece. If you notice, I flipped my little piece over. Add your felt and go directly across the opposite direction. And then you got to let those kind of sit for a minute. And if you're thinking, well, what goes next? You're absolutely right. We're going to go the opposite direction. We're going to hit the 4s. So some of this glue takes a little second, so you don't want to rush it. So you want to rub back and forth, give it a second to kind of do its thing. So now I'm going to come in to this side. So I'm doing the 4 corners basically. Take the next piece, and you want to cut, I cut 12 little ovals, and we'll see how many we can fit in there. It really depends on whether or not you want to have a full pumpkin or a not so full pumpkin. So that's kind of a personal preference to you. This pumpkin here, I have 11. So I cut 12, and it had to have 11 in order for it to alternate the colors between. This one does not have as much. This is another version I made. This one only ended up having 8. So this one only has 8 on it. So it's not as full of a pumpkin as this little guy. And if I do all 12, this one will be definitely full. Now I can flip it over while this one's setting. I can add the next one, add my glue. And if you notice, I'm putting my glue back into a glue jar here, which is pretty fun. And it keeps my glue upside down. So it's ready. It's all, because my glue is getting low, and therefore it's allowing the glue to come all the way here, getting less air in there, and so when I squeeze it, it's ready. All right, so now letting do things. So the next step is I'm going to come in, I'm going to add one, I'm going to go to the corners, to kind of go to the corners, but I want to make sure that these pieces are set, so it looks kind of like a flare right now, right? You could leave it like that. Almost looks kind of pumpkin-y, but I want it fuller. I mean, this is just 4 pieces. If you notice, as we're adding more, these little flare pieces are sticking to each other. So then the next step is going to be I'm going to hit the 4 corners. I'm going to go 1 here. I'm going to go 1 there. I'm going to hit 1 here. So this one's still kind of wet. And then I'm going to add more in between. So I will keep on adding. I've got 4 done so far, and I still have 8 left. So I'm going to try and fit as many of these 8 in here, giving it a little bit of drying time between. So I'm going to flare out this bottom one here, open this up. And what I'm actually going to do, instead of going right smack in the middle, because I'm going to try and fit 2 into here right now, I want to be able to add quite a bit. So between each of these levels, we're going to add 2 so I can fit even more. So one's going to fit right snug there, right like that. And then I'm going to put another one right next to it, since I'm on this side. So the way I'm applying, I mean, the process is kind of the same, but the order of how you apply the colors is a little bit different when you're alternating your colors, because right now it doesn't matter which way I go. So now that I've added those ones in, between each of the sections now, I'm going to come in and I'm going to add, so here is my next big gap, I'm going to add 2 there, and then I'm going to add 2 into here, and then I'm going to add 2 into there, and that'll eat up 2, 4, 6, and then I'll show you the next step. So I'm going to go ahead and speed this through. All right, so all my little petals are on here now, and if you notice, all of these slots are open, so it kind of flares it out and make it look kind of cool. I think I've put just about, for this size of a stick, as many on here as I can, and the little felt pieces kind of help balance it, so it's not as super wobbly as a stick just kind of holding itself all on its own, and it looks adorable. I love it. So this is what it looks like from the side. You'll see some pictures here in a second. That'll be upright, so it's easier for you guys to see. The next thing I'm going to do is I am going to add, instead of doing the, I always forget, the raffia, I think that's what it's called, because it just doesn't work for this one. I'm going to use tulle. I'm going to use white tulle. So I've taken a stretch, I've actually folded it over into 3, and I'm just going to do a single knot. That's it, just a single knot. And to make sure that this stays put, I'm going to take some more of my super tight glue, just right here. It's still activated in there. Just add a little piece right there, and then there we go, just like that. And this is going to be now my front. And I like, you know, every wood piece, when you cut it as equally as you try to cut it, it's going to have a little bit of a, kind of an angle to it. So just be happy with whatever you call the front of your pumpkin. And then to make sure that this looks like it's all kinds of fun, I'm going to snip off the edges there. And there we go. I'm going to lay these off to the side just so you guys can see. There we go. 3 little pumpkins. Super adorable. They pretty much look like that from the side, but they are a 3-dimensional thing. I always think that these home decor pieces look better as pairs or trios, so that's kind of fun. Singletons could still work depending. And again, you could make these as large or as small depending on how big a piece you have felt and how tall your stick is. So you could make these quite large if you want to make really big ones. So pie links are all down below. Make sure you check that out. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you guys again soon. Bye-bye.